folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Look Back. This is a video where I go back and look at reviews I did a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago, and let you know what I think about them now. So let's start with last year. So first of all, we have Sid Meier's Civilization: A New Dawn. I love Civilization, one of my favorite video games of all time. This game is not really that. It's not a bad card game. You know, there's some interesting ideas of taking a card and using it and then moving it down. I like that concept, but it just doesn't feel like a Civilization game to me at all. It's really abstracted. It's okay. Also, we have Battle Kittens, which is kind of just a little drafting and fighting game. Pixie Queen, a worker placement game that I really had hoped to enjoy. I like the idea of the pixies, although you're like enslaving pixies. It's kind of an odd theming. It's just not very, I want to say it's not good. I guess that's a subjective opinion there, but I just didn't find it to be that interesting, the decisions that were made. Then we have Think and Sync, trying to say the same thing as somebody else. That's good for a lark. This is the kind of game I pull out and play real quickly. Hey, name a breakfast cereal or what have you, and you're trying to match the other person. The Thing, Infection at Outpost 31. This game, based on The Thing, obviously, is one of two that came out within the space of a year. This one is a good cooperative game, but I'm dinging it a bit because as time goes by, it's really difficult for the person who plays the thing to win. It's really difficult for you to do anything traitorous. I wish there was a little bit more maneuverability in the game itself. Then we have Dice Throne. This is essentially King of Tokyo, but fighting another person. Or a Yahtzee attack game. You have these very different characters, asymmetrical characters with different cards and ways to roll dice and attack the other person. It's a light game, but very fun and good high production values. Pears, Deluxe Edition. There are many, many versions of Pears. I don't know how many James Ernest made, but they all kind of have the same basic games involved. This is one of those things where you can play several games. But I'm thinking, is there a main game? There is, and I think that game itself is pretty interesting. A little bit of a push your luck type aspect to it. Then we have Rajas of the Ganges. This game, which I played, I liked it, but as time has gone by, it's going up and up, becoming one of my favorite games. It's a race game as you're racing your money around the board one way, your points another way. You are placing dice on the board, a worker placement game, and forming your own little Carcassonne. It just comes together. It's beautiful. I don't know, there's just something about this game that feels meaty and more interesting each time I play it. Rio Confluence is another game that has gone up. This game does not look very good. In fact, it looks very boring, but it is one of the biggest games I enjoy. By big game, I mean this game takes 3 hours of some degree, especially if you play with a full complement of players. Everyone is very asymmetrical, has very different goals, and you must trade back and forth. It's really cool, but it only works in very few settings, but when you do, it's a great experience. So let's now take a look back at 5 years ago. So first of all, we have Canterbury. Oh, I wanted to like this game. Andrew Parks makes such great thematic games. This one is like the opposite of the theme. There is literally, I guess you're building a city. It is dry, 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 and I just found it to be not that interesting, just placing things on a board and scoring points. Then Lords of War. This is a combat game. A lot of these cards out, the artwork was okay. It's fantasy versus fantasy, and you're placing cards in different directions and attacking people. I thought it'd be more interesting. It is not. It feels kind of like you just draw and place and put the cards and try to survive. I didn't find much strategy in it. That has not stopped the company from hunting me down every Essen to try to get me to replay it. Templar, The Secret Treasure. Really cool theme from Queen Games, but this is yet another one of their okay games as you're just doing various things on the board to find treasure. Iron Crux, this game looks cool, has these iron pieces, which probably makes it rate higher than it would. It's an abstract strategy game that's okay. Choreo is a game with really cool artwork, some number cards, but it's kind of a game that kind of doesn't give you a ton of options, and it's fairly light, not Uno light, but kind of heads in that direction. And I said in my review, this game's kind of forgettable, and lo and behold it was. I had to go back and watch the review to remember what it was about. Buccaneer Bones, a little dice rolling Yahtzee style game. There's a lot out there. This one's Pirates though, I guess if you like that. Sail to India, really interesting Euro game. This one actually would be a 7 or higher. if it just had better components. The components are so blah, and the theme is so blah. But it kind of is a bigger game squished down into a small card game. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Candle Quest. This one's fascinating because this was originally based on robbing graveyards and building Frankenstein monsters. And then they moved it to a totally different theme. It's the same thing, a little bit of an auction style game trying to collect sets. It works well. Probably could have used nicer components. And then Speculation. This one has gone up. This is a stock market game from Queen. That's actually pretty interesting. As you're basically moving down a track and buying and selling stocks. There's not a lot of good stock market games out there, and if there are, they're usually very involved. This one is a lighter one, and one that I think still holds up even today. 10 years ago, I reviewed nothing this week. So there you go. Those are reviews I took a look at 1 and 5 years ago. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Look Back on the Dice Tower.